Hey guys, today's Monday, August 14 of 2023, and I want to go over dollar, energy, and metals. So without any further delay, let's get into it. As you can see, we're still trying to see if we could get above $84 on crude. So far, just kind of going sideways here. Histogram is showing, it's kind of losing Momo. We'll see. But that's what the crude is showing. RBOT looks like it's a little stronger than crude. It's making last week's high here around 293. We're hovering around there. And you can see that it's much stronger, although the histogram is showing weakness, but it's stronger. It's at least above this pivot as of now, but the day is young, 292. Natural gas, we'll go over it in detail, but so far, looks like we're above this pivot high of 278 price action as of now, so that's good. We got a little blue histogram here, but we'll see. Still positive. Looking at heating oil, we kissed this trend line from these pivot high, and you can see in the daily that we've kind of pulled back. Nothing negative here, but we need to stay above at least 304. You can see the histogram is showing a little weakness there. Let's go to the metals real quick. And I think the metals are going to go down this week because I have a hunch that the dollar wants to test the 50% level again. As you can see, Hikanashi candle trend negative, but we haven't broken the mobile bands, which is good. So it's at 1937. Once you close below that, you see that pivot here. It's obviously going to test 1900. And you can see that there's a squeeze play, and it looks like the pressure is to the downside on the weekly. In the daily, you already closed below 1954, so it looks like it wants to go lower. And it has already a squeeze trigger to go short on the daily. Silver is the same thing. We haven't closed below this trend line. We keep an eye on it, but so far the weekly is negative. It's worse than gold, and it already triggered a short on the weekly. And the daily, you can see that is negative. It looks like it wants to test 2214 and this trend line right here, which is that green one. I think the one out of all the metals to watch would be copper, because it's been in a squeeze play for the longest. And we just got a PPS sell signal on the weekly. So it may retrace or it may not. It's one of those things you either wait for it to like break below this low. What is this low? 369. If it closes below 369, maybe it could be a nice short into 354 and then cover. Or it could, they could retrace back. But knowing that the dollar's going to the 50% level, I feel like copper is probably, if it's going to try to kiss this trend line, is probably going to fail and then push lower if the dollar's going to test the 50% level. So I will keep an eye on copper. That's probably the best play for this week, depending on what direction it wants to go. Palladium, you can see the histogram just turned positive, but we haven't closed above 1323, and there's a swing pivot low here of 1334. Once we could get above that, it could possibly trend higher, but then again, like I said, the dollar is in a course to test the 50% level. I can't see these guys rallying with the dollar getting strong. So one has to give. And that's, you can see that on the daily, it got a PPS buy signal. It looks like it wants to, get out of the rut, so to speak. Let's look at platinum. See what we have here. Platinum pretty much is acting like the way, it should be acting, with the dollar getting strength. Palladium is the only one that's being the rebellious one, but that's fine. See on the daily, it's getting a little Momo, but nothing compared to Palladium. At least you got to close 962 in order to get positive on the weekly, and on the daily, you need to close above 928. Let's look at the dollar, because this is why I'm leaning that the metals are going to go lower. Look at that. So look at the price action. Look at the psychology. They try to dip it down to go lower, and people, whoever's buying is buying it. They tried on this date, 810. This is a deep one, and they bought it right back up. Does that show? Somebody's buying it every time they try to push it lower. So now, if they could push it higher, this is where the test is, 103. As you can see how we failed here. You got this Gann fan coming down here. I'm not too worried about the Gann fan here. I'm more concerned about the 50% level. This is a strong level here. Find support here, bounce resistance here. So this is once they get here to see what's going to happen. And if the dollar fails here, then the metals will rally. Copper will probably swing back up. But if it continues, all these guys are probably going to get pressure and they're going to go lower. So you can see on the currency. So let's look at real quick natural gas. So the bear camp still remains. Looks like we want to now test that again and see if we could probably break through. You can see the volume here. On the 9th, we got it. On the 10th, the bears got it. And on the 11th, the bulls got it. So we got to see how today is going to go. Let's look at our simple glance chart. Nothing really's changed here. Only thing, nothing's really changed. I mean, MACD is positive. The only thing here on the daily, we have a MACD crossover. And this was a high, and you can see this high here. And now this was a higher high, but it's a lower high in the MACD. So there is, you can say, a little divergence going on here. Is that going to affect natural gas? I don't know. We'll see. However, we are at the value area high of 280 or hovering around there. I think we just got there around 280. So we'll continue grinding higher for this week. Keep an eye on this level, 289, 290 linear regression channel. I mean, it'd be nice, healthy for a nice little pullback, at least a 20 midpoint or even the purple, and then build another Momo. But, natural gas is going to do what it's going to do. Let's look at key levels. We're above the 50% on the daily midpoint, which is 277. And there's this trend line right here, which is this one right here, this big one. And you can see that we failed there. So we could get above that trend line. You're obviously going to go kiss that high of 283 and then 287, which is the midpoint from Friday. And then the 290. So this targets to the upside is for Monday only. If you watch this video on Tuesday, it's not. It's going to be void because things are going to change. And support for the bottom will be 270, 267, 264 to the downside if they're going to push it lower. Looking at the weekly, and I probably I went over these on my Saturday report on natural gas. This is the midpoint. So this is where you want to stay above also, which is around 279, 280. So you can see that it's gray is because we're hovering on it. We're not really too far above it, but we're not too really far below it to go negative. So we'll see how that's going to play out in these bigger levels, 287, 294. But this trend line is the one you want to watch in that pivot, which is 287. I'm going to sign out. Hopefully you like this video, and I'll keep you posted on my thoughts on the dollar, the energy, and the metal sector.